Welcome to Lethality Sparkling Lives podcast, the place where we can share stories behind the people and hear what lessons and each person have learned through their lives. Today we will welcome a wonderful woman who have traveled all over the world. So please welcome Taryn. Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Really honored to be here today.
Oh, thank you much for coming. I'm so looking forward to talk to you today. How
Yes, I'm
are
looking forward
you?
to it too. Yeah, I'm really well, thank you.
Good to hear.
Yeah, I'm in the
Oh,
middle of a launch at the moment, so I'm like just feeling like really energized today and yeah, inspired and excited.
what are you going to launch?
I'm launching my next mastermind, so the Chrysalis Mastermind. It's a new signature offer of mine that I've only run once, but yeah, we're kicking off the next one on the 8th of August. So yeah, very excited.
Oh, launching period is the best time, but it's also much to do. But I hope we will hear much later on how people can contact you if they want to join you.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to share some more about that at the end.
Perfect. And that's a great way to start. If you could please introduce yourself to the listener.
Sure. So my name is Taryn Jacoby. I'm a business alchemist, and the work that I do is about supporting women in growing businesses while working part-time and focusing on the things that are important to them, like family or self-care or traveling the world. I am a mom. I have a little boy who's now 20 months old, and we live with my husband on a farm with our friends, a stud farm in the country in England, UK. And yeah, we're living the country life at the moment. So horses and sheep and goats and all that jazz, which has been great. And yeah, originally from South Africa, but I've been living in the UK for around 18 years now. So that's me in a nutshell.
Wow, it hears like a movie. When I hear the farm and the horses and the family, is it so relaxing and joyful that we see on the movies?
I definitely think, yeah, like when we moved to the farm last April, I did feel like my nervous system kind of just go, shoo, because there's just something about the air here. Like, you know, I think it's just being around nature. It's the same kind of feeling you would get if you went to the beach or you went into the forest. You know, you look outside and it's just like acres and acres of land around you. And I think that's just really great for the nervous system. So, yeah.
Oh, it seems wonderful. Maybe I will come to you one day.
Yeah, I would love to meet you in person.
Yeah. And I'm so curious about who you are if you're gonna talk about you as a person. So I would love to hear your three biggest strengths.
My three biggest strengths. Wow. So I would say number one, that I've never been one to kind of follow the crowd or to do what everybody else is doing. I very much like I'm in tune with my intuition, and I'm a 3-5 manifesting generator in HD. So I don't know if you know much about that, but yeah, I get that, like that gut knowing where I know what I need to do and I just go for it. Which I love. I think, you know, when I was growing up, it was a bit of I didn't see the positive in it because I always felt like different, and I always felt like, you know, maybe not accepted in groups and stuff like that. You know, that's my own issues, but now I love it. Now, I trust it more. I trust that knowing more. So yeah, so I would see it as a strength now. Another strength that I have is I'm very empathetic. I'm a people person. People are usually drawn to me and feel very comfortable opening up to me about things that they might not open up to with other people. And, you know, ever since I was a little girl, I just had this really strong desire to want to help people in some way. and I didn't know what that was going to look like, but I followed that. I followed that into many different things. I've done yoga and Reiki and essential oils and hypnotherapy and rapid transformational therapy. So just by following that, knowing that I needed to help people in some way. Third strength. I think the third strength of mine is that I don't let fear get in the way of what I want to create for my life. And I think we all have the doubts and fears that come up when you're doing something new. And I think that's completely normal. And I am someone who, and I don't think I've always been like this. Have I always been like this? No, I think I've trained myself to be like this, to just do the scary things, right? To just put myself out there, do the scary things and just get on with it. So yeah, that's my 3 strengths.
And I love that. And I hear that you have good connection with your intuition. And I think that's a really important part of living your truest self. Because when you follow your gut, and I'm also into human design. I'm not an expert, but I'm a 2/6, I think, a manifestor generator.
Oh, you are as well.
So I can feel some of the things that you're saying about the intuition and and that learning to not be afraid. It's so important to live your truest life, because we can get disturbed by other people's opinions and meanings about how we should do things. But if we do it our way, it will be good and amazing.
Yeah, 100%. And I think there's a lot of fear that can come up with that, when you're doing something that is not considered the normal by society. There's a lot of fear of rejection that comes up for people around that. But yeah, you've got to do what's true to you. No matter what you think everybody else thinks about that.
And then it's a great way to start your story, because now we know a little about you. And I would love to hear a story about what has made you you, and what has been the things that have made you get the strength to be a part of who you are. And so the stage is yours, and share the story with us if you want to.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, we were talking about this earlier before we hit record on the podcast. And I think everybody's got so many stories that make them who they are. And so actually the question when I filled in your form was like, gosh, what story am I going to talk about? But I think I'm just going to talk about my journey into entrepreneurship, because, that's a big focus in my life at the moment. But I think a lot of people will be able to relate to that, because I think a lot of people are moving into entrepreneurship these days, especially after COVID. And I think COVID really made people realize what is important in life. And people have that desire now to want to have the freedom and the flexibility to work for themselves, to choose their own hours, to choose when they're working, when they're spending time with family. And yeah, as you know, it's quite a journey. But for me, I was, climbing the corporate ladder for many years in HR. So I kind of fell into an HR job working at L'Oreal when I first moved over to the UK in 2006. I think I started working there. And then I climbed the corporate ladder, was eventually, HR director. And I was just not fulfilled. I wasn't feeling fulfilled in myself. I was feeling very anxious a lot of the time, stressed, burnt out. Sometimes I would go home to my husband and just cry. There's a lot of politics, so I didn't always enjoy enjoy working with some of the people that I worked with as well. I had some very difficult bosses a lot of the time. I learned a lot from them, and they are all amazing people. But so there were a lot of challenges. I think also in HR, you also are in the middle of it all, right? You're in the middle of it. And I always knew that I wanted to work for myself. Both my parents were very ambitious, driven entrepreneurs. And I always found that very inspirational, something that I wanted to do. And so I was kind of running my own businesses on the side while I was climbing the corporate ladder and just testing things out. My very first company was an events company, for a ladies' events company, which I gave up all my weekends to go and serve afternoon teas and cocktail classes and lingerie decorating classes and stuff with ladies. And yeah, and then I got I got a call to go to Costa Rica and do a yoga teacher training there, when I realized that yoga was a passion of mine, and I didn't really feel like I had much passion in life. And I fell in love with yoga, and I felt inspired to go do this yoga teacher training in Costa Rica. And I think that's really where everything started to change for me. While I was there, I had an awakening, if that's what you want to call it. And I know a lot of people that go to Costa Rica will share similar stories as well, in terms of like something just shifts inside of you and you start to see things from a different perspective. And also while I was there, I was headhunted for a HR role that was an amazing opportunity that felt too good to pass. And so it kind of felt like I was excited that I was like, okay, I'm going to be a yoga teacher and this is what I'm going to do. And then like everything changed in Costa Rica. And I was like, okay, I feel like I'm being pulled on a different path right now. This is not happening for me right now. And I just started doing a lot of self-development work, because I think what happened at that yoga teacher training was a lot of self-doubt came up for me. And I realized that until I do the work on myself, until I work through my own doubts and my own fears, that's going to follow me no matter what I do. And yeah, so it was I remember the moments where I had to like stand up and teach a yoga class in front of 50 people, and was just overwhelmed with fear. And one of the yoga teachers like called me over, and he said to me, he looked me into the eyes and he was like, I want you to know that you are meant to be here. And I just burst into tears. And I was like, that message has always just stuck with me my whole life, because I always felt like I didn't belong. And I realized it was my own insecurities that was causing me to feel like that. And so I had to learn to accept myself. I had to do the acceptance work on myself in order to feel accepted. And so I started a very long, profound self-development journey, did all the work on myself, and then eventually kind of fell into hypnotherapy and rapid transformational therapy, and then eventually into mastery method coaching, which I'm doing now. So I'm trying to think if there's more to the story. I mean, there's so much more to the story, but I don't want to, drag it on too long. That's the gist of it. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have, because I think it's so many people who are struggling with the feeling that they don't belong. So if you can dig a little deeper and tell us how that feel for you, in which kind of situation did you feel it, and what steps did you take? You said personal development, but what did you do to find your safety space within you?
Well, so much. And this is all the work that I do with my clients, obviously. But it started with the subconscious work, like working through the limiting beliefs, letting go of the beliefs around I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, people are going to reject me, those kind of limiting beliefs. And then you and I were talking earlier as well, as that I was a very hard worker, high achiever. And that was also a way for me to feel like if I'm busy, then I must be doing something good. And that didn't do my body any good. And, one of the reasons why I always wanted to work for myself was because I wanted to become a mother, and I didn't want to be working 60 hours a week in an office when my babies finally arrived. And but the stress of those years of working in corporate had taken its toll on my body, and I really struggled to fall pregnant for 7 years. And so that was a huge part of the journey that I had to go on. Which was also, coming back to the limiting beliefs. It's like letting go of the limiting beliefs that I have to work hard to make money. I have to work more hours to be successful. And so once I kind of worked through the limiting beliefs, then it was about creating safety in my body to allow myself to feel safe with not working so many hours. And I remember, like, I was working with my friend who was a nutritionist, and we were like looking at different ways that I could, bring that, like, manage those stress levels and create more safety in my nervous system. And even just taking 2 minutes out during the day to breathe was actually really challenging for me, because I had programmed my body to just be busy all the time. And so very gradually I had to learn how to create more space in my day to regulate my nervous system and start listening to my body for the first time. And I work 2 days a week. And like I said to you earlier, that wasn't comfortable for me in the beginning. I'd done a lot of work, but when my baby arrived, there was still more work to do, because I wanted to be present with him. I didn't want to be with him and thinking I should be working, I should be doing other things, and not playing blocks or kicking a ball or whatever. And so, so the nervous system regulation piece has been huge. And then it's also about, like, the embodiment, about you have to, shift your identity to become the person that you desire to be, to achieve the goals that you desire to achieve. Like, you have to do the scary things. You have to change your habits. You have to let go of habits that are no longer serving you. I used to, like, work all week, and then on the weekend I would party, drinking, partying, and just another way of distracting me from the feelings of connecting to my body and just numbing, right? So all the things for numbing, like working, drinking, partying. So that's the work that
you
did.
Yeah, and it's a lot of work. And did you do it on your own, most of it, or was it something coaching you all the way? You said something about a friend who was nutritionist, but was she or he following you the whole time, or was it somebody else, or was it all you?
Oh no, I hired so much support. I've hired so much support in my life. I'm a big believer of getting support in all areas of my life. Like, if you want to go from good to great, like, hire somebody that is ahead of you, hire somebody that is where you want to be. And so, I learned so much from all the certifications that I did, rapid transformational therapy and mastery method coaching and so on. But I also hired therapists, energy healers, nutritionists, business coaches, mindset coaches. Yeah, I hired a lot of people, because I think you can do it on your own. Sure, you can do it on your own. And I think in the beginning, I was trying to do it on my own, but you just go so much further with support. And I find it so much easier to work through stuff when I have somebody holding some space for me. And it's also about the time, right? Like, because if you're going to do it on your own, like, realistically, how often are you going to be spending to prioritize that time?
Yeah, and I think when you go alone, you go slow, but when you go together with someone, it goes much faster, and then you can move on with the life. But I'm also curious about you wanted to be a mom, and you tried for 7 years. Was it somebody who said to you that it can be your stress levels that is in the way, or did you find out that for yourself?
Yeah, so I had some very advanced blood tests done. I think like the most advanced blood test that you can get on the market these days, and I got like a 100-page report on everything that was going on in my body, and yeah, there was my adrenaline, my testosterone levels. My testosterone levels were too high, so my hormones were all off whack. So in order to bring my testosterone levels, I had to do, a lot of different things, which not only included like stress management, but it was looking at diet and supplements and lifestyle as well. And then all the inner work as well, because I think, the inner work, that what's going on inside is a reflection of what's happening. What's happening in our physical body is a reflection of what's happening inside, how your emotions manifest into physical symptoms. Yeah.
And I said that to you earlier, that I think your story is quite interesting for me, because I've also been a high achiever that always strives and always work and push and push. And I, until recently, find out that my key to success and a happy life is to relax. It's to take breaks and pauses and not think about work and just be and just sit there and what am I going to do? And it's nothing to do. And that's completely new to me. So I love hearing the story that you're telling. And I'm also wondering about, how do you feel about the identity shift that you have been through? Because being a high achiever with huge ambitions and always striving, always working, to being calm and present, do you feel that you have high ambitions and a kind of a striver today also, but you have find a balance? What is your, what's your change in identity, will you say?
Yeah, huge. And I feel like you go through different identities in your life, and when I was in school, I was very much like a rebel. I rebelled, got into trouble a lot of the time, but I was also very shy as well. I didn't want to really be part of any kind of groups, girl groups and stuff. I kind of was a little bit of a loner. Maybe I might have just had like one friend that I kind of stuck to, although I was friendly with everybody. I didn't really generally hang out in big groups. And then when I started working in corporate, I was petrified. I was like, I had so much anxiety and so much self-doubt, and I really struggled to even speak up in meetings. I would just freeze. And yeah, so I had a lot of that to work through and let go of. And look, I'm like not perfect. I'm always, there's always more room to grow. But I feel like in terms of my confidence, it's come a really long way. And the way that I feel, I think that's the best part about doing this work is it's not about the external goal or even the confidence. It's about just having that inner peace inside you, no matter what is happening around you. Like that's the best part, because nobody can take that away from you. And all my clients will say that at the end of our programs as well, is that like, yeah, sure, they might have like hit their goal of like filling their client list or increasing their revenue or whatever, but if you ask them like what was the best part like that you took from this program, usually it's about the inner peace, which is confidence. That's the confidence, right? It's about being comfortable in your body and with who you are. That's what authentic confidence is. And I actually used to think like in corporate that confidence was like those people who are so like driven, but they kind of like walk all over everybody, and they might be considered a bit like bitchy. And I was like, oh, I'll never be successful because I just don't have that like bitchiness in me. But yeah, it's just about being comfortable in who you are, in your truth, right?
And do you feel that when you were working in the HR, that's when you look back at it, was you yourself? Was it you that was in love with HR and working in the corporate, or was it the world view that have made you think that HR was the right place to be?
No, I fell into HR, and I thought, I never really knew what I wanted to actually. When I started at university, I started studying psychology because I thought I wanted to help people. So maybe it made sense for me to study psychology. I changed my I changed my master's like 3 or 4 times, and yeah, I think I just kind of fell into HR, and I thought, well, I need a job. It's working with people, so I'll give it a go. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed working with people, but I also just felt like a lot of it just didn't really align with my values. Um, I really, in the beginning, especially, I really struggled with firing people, letting people go, that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, you're working for the company, aren't you? You're working for the company, even though you're there to support the people. It's the company who hires you. So there's challenges that come with that as well.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people are feeling that when they are put into a corporate job, they are kind of in a box. You just need to do the job. And for many people, I think that that box is too small. We need to be able to expand ourselves and do more. But as you say, yeah, you work for the company, so you need to do that. And you, in your first story, you also tell that you got headhunted to a new HR job that was too good to say no to. Can you tell us about what, because then you were becoming a yoga teacher and you got headhunted to a job that you don't wanted, you hadn't applied for it, but it got to you. So how was that experience, and did you work in that job for a long time, or how did that go?
Yeah, so I was working at a software company as an HR advisor. Yeah, as an HR advisor, and then I left that company to go do the yoga teacher training, and I was like, I'm just going to teach yoga now. And then I, yeah, got an offer for I got an invite for an interview for a head of HR role, which was a lot more money than I was earning, and it kind of was a bit of I think I kind of skipped a level in terms of roles, and I thought, you know what, I'm probably never going to get it because it's a bit ahead of where I am at the moment. But I did the interview because I thought it would be good experience for me, and I ended up doing 4 interviews with them, and then they hired me, and I really wasn't expecting that. And then I was like, shit. Now I've got to like actually do this. And there was a period of time, I think it was, I can't remember how long it was, a month or 3 months or something before I actually started that job. And it gave me time to work on my mindset. And that's really when the work on my mindset started, because I was like, I have to walk through that door and be confident in this new role. Like people are going to be like looking up to me and relying on me to make some big decisions. And so I started meditating every day. That was when my meditations practice started. And that changed my life in its own. Meditation was just a really powerful tool for me. And yeah, I walked through that door like 2 or 3 months later. I can't remember how long it was, but like a different person. feeling, I was still scared. Don't get me wrong. I still had the fear, but like the meditation and the mindset work that I'd done on myself had made a huge difference on my confidence and my self-belief.
How long did you stay in that job?
So I was there for a few years, and then they got acquired by a much bigger organization, and then my role got made redundant, which was a blessing in disguise because I had been wanting to work for myself for a while. And, I believe everything happens for a reason. And I learned so much in that job. So I was very grateful for that experience. And that has served me so well in everything that I'm doing now. And it also gave me the kick up the ass that I needed to just like take the leap and work for myself.
So how many years have you been an entrepreneur now?
Well, I've been running my own businesses for 12, 13 years, but maybe a bit longer, but full time. So that was, when did I leave there? I feel like it was about, gosh, I don't even know, 7 years ago. Yeah, roughly around there.
Wow, so you're an advanced entrepreneur. And that's, I think it's many really new entrepreneurs who will listen to this podcast. So if you can take us on to the entrepreneur journey, how has your journey as an entrepreneur been for you?
Look, I think entrepreneurship is not for everybody. It's definitely,
I agree.
yeah, it's definitely challenging. It's challenging, and it brings up all your stuff. But for me, it's been, one of the most rewarding things that I've done as well, in terms of the freedom and the flexibility that you get with it. And I just always felt like I didn't want to work for people. And not everybody's like that, there's a lot of people out there who are happy in their 9-to-5 job, like being like told what they need to do, getting on with it, and then going home and enjoying time with their family, and that's cool. But it just wasn't for me, and I never felt like it was. And so, yeah, the journey has been challenging. There were times, especially in the beginning, where I like hit rock bottom, and I had to, it's the unknown. It's like, you never know, like, when is that next client coming through? When is the money coming in? Like, I've got to pay my bills, I've got to pay my rent, I've got to live. And that was one of the biggest lessons for me in the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, was that I had to learn to like trust in myself, to trust in my ability to be resourceful, and to trust in the work that I'm doing, with so much conviction that you believe in yourself even when the evidence is not there. And
I think that's so important.
Yeah, exactly. And because at the end of the day, the clients will come, the money will come, but what matters the most, what is going to keep you in this game, is how you feel on that journey. And so if you're feeling anxious and worried all the time because you don't know when that next client is coming through, or when the money's coming in, or you don't know what's happening next, or you're doubting yourself because you don't know if you're cut out for this, like, then it's not for you. You've got to work through that shit, because you've got to be able to enjoy the journey. And like I said, you've got to be able to be able to relax when you are with your family, and not always worrying about work, because otherwise, what's the point? What is the point of being an entrepreneur if you're just stressing out all the time? You might as well just go get a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to say because
Mm.
many people are saying that you can make your own work and be an entrepreneur and start your own journey. But I feel that we need to talk more about the kind of downsides with entrepreneurship because
Yeah.
it's some there, and you need that strength to see the light when there's no light, and you need to create it. So what do you think defines a person who is meant to be an entrepreneur, and who do you recommend not going that way?
I think one of the most important qualities that you have to be able to be successful as an entrepreneur is to not be afraid to fail, because this is a journey where you have to learn, you have to refine, you have to innovate constantly. And the only way that you can do that is through allowing yourself to make mistakes, allowing yourself to fail. And, you know, some of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world have failed, have hit rock bottom like 10 times over, more times than they can count. You know, Richard Branson failed. His first business, which was like a publishing company, failed. The first plane that he flew for Virgin crashed. Like it broke down or something happened with it. Yeah, and so and you know he's like one of the richest people in the world now, like running multiple successful $1 billion global businesses. But he wasn't afraid to fail, and he wasn't afraid to innovate, and that's it, right? Like you've just got to. That's how the best way of learning. And I'm actually reading, is it Stephen Bartlett's book, The Diary of a CEO, at the moment, and he also talks about this as well. And he talks about that some companies actually have policies in their companies that say you have like the people that like you need to fail faster. The policy is fail faster, and the people that fail the most in those companies actually are the people that get promoted because they're not afraid to innovate. Whereas the other people,
That's great.
yeah, exactly. Whereas the other people just want to stay in their comfort zones, right, and play it safe.
Mm.
And as an entrepreneur, you've got to take risks. You've got to get yourself out there. You've got to stretch yourself beyond your like what you feel your current capacity is. You've got to get uncomfortable.
Yeah, and uncomfortable is the place to live. I found that in my journey. I've tried a lot of things, and for me, I've had many people. I can't see doubt me because I have had quite a supporting network around me, and I think it's something about that. When I set my eyes on something and go for it, it's no doubt, and I think that's reflecting onto the people who are supporting. But it's been people who said, okay, if it's not work, you can do that, and you have tried a lot now. And I've tried a lot, but I'm still searching for me. What's
Mm.
me? And I think it's so important that fail fast. Fail fast, learn fast. Failure is just the perfect way of learning something new, and not giving up. Because if
Yes.
we would go into entrepreneurship and every time we fail, we would ask ourselves, is this what I'm going to do? Is it better with the 9 to 5?
Mm.
I don't think it will last in the long run, because you need to just have the bottom agreement with yourself that I'm not giving up.
Yeah.
Because a child can get, yeah, it's no limit on how many times a child can try to learn to walk. And it's the exact same with an entrepreneur. You need to fail as many times you need to fail to succeed. So
Mm.
I have a quote on my background on my telephone, and it says, you just have to be willing to look like an idiot while you figure it out, because once you figure it out, everyone else looks like an idiot for doubting you. And that's from Alex Ramosi. And I just love that quote, because you just need to try. You just need to figure it out. And eventually it will be a success.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just got to keep going. But something else that you talked about there, like that whole thinking about like, oh, well, if it doesn't work out, I'll just go get another job and blah, blah, blah. That is like one of the biggest like time suckers as well. Like Stephen talks about this in his book as well. He talks about that if you have a plan B, then you're much more likely to not succeed in your plan A, because, and this is something that I believe in as well, is that you've either got to grow a business from a place of passion or from a place of desperation. So either you are, you'll speak to some mothers who like got a divorce and they were on the street and they had to feed their babies and they had no choice but to make their business work because they had no other option. Or passion. You've got to have the passion for it. Because that's the fuel that's going to keep you going. And if you putting your time and energy into thinking like, what's my plan B? That's time and energy lost that you could be focusing on plan A.
Yeah, and I love that. I'm also with just plan A. And I think so many people have a plan B and plan C, but I think that we need to see it in another way when we're defining, because say that the plan A is to have a successful business. And you try and you fail and you fail and you fail, but you're still going. But then you maybe need some money to keep this journey. Okay, so you take on a side hustle, like a barista or something, to earn some money, but you are moving forward to the goal A. It's not a B plan. It's just to keep it going. So, and many people will see that as a plan B. But I think when you have that as a plan B, it becomes a comfort level. Okay, I can just be a barista, but I stop working for my goal as an entrepreneur. So
yeah,
that
makes it's the mindset. It's like, okay, you either like, I'm going to get a 9 to 5 because I'm maybe not I'm not made for entrepreneurship, and then that 9 to 5 takes your main focus. But if you've got that passion for like the passion that I have for my business is like, I just can't ever see myself giving it up because it just feels like my purpose. Like I feel like I'm living my purpose, and it's just such a strong pull that I just can't see anything getting in the way of it, And when you have that, then sure, you do whatever you can to make it work. And if that involves getting a part-time job to feed money into it, then that's part of your plan A, isn't it? Yeah.
And I think that's just something many people need to hear, because for 1.5 years, as I've been into the entrepreneurship, I've seen many people stop, and they were on a good flow, and then they changed to the plan B. It was not continuously working towards plan A, but they shifted. But I've also seen people who, continue with the plan A, but have that side hustle to keep it going. For me, I've been doubling this question for myself, but for me, I need to go all in on plan A and be all in. I'm a person who can't have a side hustle because it will take too much energy. So I'm all in for the business. So I just think it's so important for people to recognize that, okay, but it's many ways to plan A. You just need to take the one that's right for you. But
and I think
plan B.
And I think it's also determined by your current lifestyle as well. I mean, you're a mom, so you've already got like a huge priority, which is your son. And it's the same for me. Before I had my baby, I was doing consultancy work in HR. And then, like now that I'm a mother, like your priorities shift and your focus shifts. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I don't have enough time to be adding another thing to my plate.
No, it's something about that because it's time, and like you said, and the most important thing about all is that even as an entrepreneur, you need time to relax and to not do anything and breathe and mindfulness and yeah, taking care of yourself because entrepreneurship can be something that takes your whole life if you let it.
Of course, yeah. And then again, what's the point? Because we often leave the corporate world because we want to let go of that full-time work week and the stress that it can bring. And yeah, so it's a whole shift in identity.
Yeah. And if you will summarize one sentence or three sentences from your story that people who are listening can take to their life and yeah, use, what's your biggest lessons from your story?
To trust yourself and to trust the process and to trust in life. So
Yeah.
that's my motto. Just keep coming back to trust. Like when you feel doubtful that something's going to work, or if you're on the right path and you feel like people might be judging you, or you feel like you're going to fail, like just keep coming back to trust. And it's like a muscle, right? The more you practice that trust muscle, the more it strengthens until it's like the core of your being,
I
and
love that.
nothing can get in the way.
No. And I think that's so important. And thank you for saying that because huh, it's it's so easy but still so hard. Have trust. Yeah. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for sharing.
my pleasure.
Wow. And I think that a lot of those who listen to this maybe want to check you out. So where can they find you? And can you tell us a little more about the program that you're launching in August?
Sure. So I am on social media. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn, and I spend most of my social media time on Instagram. So my Instagram handle is Taryn, Taryn Jacoby, Jacoby. And yeah, you can also drop me an email as well if you have any questions about anything today. So my email is connect@tarynjacoby.com. And yeah, I am. I've also have a free ebook, so a business alchemy ebook. Basically, it takes you through my Ascend methodology to help you carve out more time and focus on the things in your business that matter the most, so that you can save hours to spend on things that are more important to you, like your family or travel or self-care. So are we able to drop the link for that for people to get access to?
Yeah, we can make it in the Instagram post and on YouTube.
Okay, great. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's my gift to you. And yeah, so the Chrysalis Mastermind is a 5-month group container where we are basically working on everything that we've been talking about today. So it's about letting go of the limiting beliefs. It's about regulating your nervous system. It's about embodying that future CEO version of yourself so that you can grow your business in a way that feels so much more enjoyable, and so that you can make sure that you're prioritizing the things that are most important to you in your life. And so we also do a lot of like streamlining your business processes, and basically we meet twice a month. So one of those calls is a business strategy session where we focus on refining and aligning your business strategy, from your marketing to your sales to your systems to your team support. And then the other call is an alchemy session. And this is where you bring any doubts and fears that might be coming up for you, and we basically alchemize them together so that you feel a lot more convicted in the confidence that you have as you're growing your business. And yeah, and you can enjoy it more. That's what it is. It's about mastering time and skyrocketing your joy.
Wow. That seems amazing. And is it for new entrepreneurs or also people who have been an entrepreneur for some while?
So it doesn't really matter where you are on your entrepreneurial journey, because the work will be really specifically tailored to you. And yeah, I think also, I've been in these masterminds before where you're with people that are in the beginning of their journey and with people who are further along, and you learn so much from each other. And that's the best part about being in these kinds of containers, is that you even learn from people that are just starting out, because they have that passion. They've got the clarity around the foundation of things, that can bring you back to that. So yes, it doesn't matter where you are, you'll benefit from it.
Perfect. Then we will link to your content on Instagram, and I think also we will get it on Spotify. So YouTube and Spotify, and I hope that people will find you and check it out because it seems amazing. And I think the point of view that you have on entrepreneurship can be a huge benefit for other entrepreneurs. So thank you so much for being here today, and thank you for sharing your story, Taryn.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Benedict. And I'm really appreciated. I really enjoyed our chat today. And thank you for everybody who is listening in as well.